Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining AWS Workshops from Home webinar sessions. AWS Workshop from Home are a series of short webinars we're organizing for you and provided by AWS Educate. These webinars are designed for students and educators around the world who are passionate about cloud and technology and who want to continue learning and practicing during the period of time. We plan for a series of short technical topics around AWS core services for everyone so that you can start learning and experimenting with cloud technology and create web apps and solutions in the cloud environment today. For this series of webinars, we had prepared a variety of topics for you. Later on in the coming weeks, we will be covering AWS core cloud services such as Elastic Cloud Compute, virtual private cloud, and more advanced topics like AWS serverless. These sessions are designed for learners at different levels. So please take a look at our list of topics prepared for you and choose the ones that are right for you. In these sessions, series of webinars, you will be following our lecturers who are AWS solution architects and technical managers to learn about each specific topic. For AWS Educate members, you will also have the access to labs through AWS Educate to practice right after the lecturing. In your spare time, we recommend that you go back to AWS Educate to enjoy the rich content that we provide on the platform to continue learning and practicing. AWS Educate is provided at no cost to all students and educators. We will also be opening the forum for question and answers and try to address as many questions as we can during each webinar. In the end of the session, you will be asked several questions on the next topics that you are interested to hear, and that will help us to focus on providing the topics that are most relevant to you and in the highest demand. At the end of the session, every attendee will be receiving a digital certificate to congratulate you to complete this webinar session. And please pay attention that this is a certificate of completing this webinar session. This is different from an industry level professional AWS certification. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce our main speakers today, Mr. Steve and Furin. Steve is a solution architect at AWS, and Furin is the technical program manager for AWS Educate program. Let me hand it over to Steve.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Steve Sofian. I'm a solution architect in AWS Singapore. So today, what I'll be covering is networking in the cloud, in particularly domain name systems and what services in AWS that we can provide to provide such a system, which is called Route 53. Here's a quick agenda of today. I'll run through a brief concept of DNS, what it is and how it works. Next is how do you use it with AWS resources. And lastly, it's AWS Route 53. How do you make use of that to provide a DNS system for your applications? So having a quick concept of DNS. So what's such a DNS? DNS actually stands for domain name system. It is the phone book of the internet. It's just like your yellow pages in terms of how do you actually find, for example, let's say you type amazon.com in your web browser. How does the web browser knows where to get the page? So DNS basically translate these domain names into IP addresses so that your browsers can load the resources itself. So how does a DNS work? So as you type www.amazon.com into your computer, into the browser, So what it does basically, it first go to something called a DNS recursor. Um, so it's almost like you treat DNS is like a library. So the first thing that you step into a library, you ask a librarian, where can I go to find certain sections of the book? So the librarian basically will tell you like, okay, this is for comic section, it's on the second floor. And how do you find the books then? So as you type the domain name, the DNS will tell you that, okay, these are the top level domain name. For example, this is a .com, a .edu. So basically, it knows which group of domain that you are going with. As such, it will point to uh, as such that it will point to um, so-called okay, let me see. Um, let me hold on. I think there's something wrong with the screen here. Wait. Okay. All right. So let me go back. So next it will go to the second level domain, is amazon.com. So it will go find the server, and the server will return you with the IP address of the server itself. You will go back to the web browser, and the web browser will go to that particular server and fetch the pages. So that's the main purpose of a DNS. How does it translate into how we use DNS in AWS? When you launch a server, which is called an instance, each server itself will have a public DNS. And this is the default DNS name that we provide you when you launch a server. As you can see, it is quite cryptic. It's quite hard to remember all this DNS name. And behind the scene, or this DNS actually is pointing to a public IP address as well. So when you type that particular public DNS, it will point to the public IP address. So what you want typically when you launch a web server or your applications, you might want to use a more user-friendly name as such that it will resolve to this particular default DNS name, and this DNS name will point to this particular IP address. So within AWS itself, we have this service called Route 53. So Route 53 basically is a highly available cloud domain name system. What it does basically translate the domain name into your IP addresses. And within Route 53, you can purchase and manage domain names and configure those DNS settings as such that will point to the right server. It gives you a very flexible tool and highly available architectures on AWS. You can control how you want to route as well. There are many routing options. So let's just say you have an application, you want to buy a domain name, for example, like abc.com. So what you can do, you can go to the AWS console, go to Route 53 service, and say you want to register a domain. So when you purchase a domain, basically you have to create something called hosted zone in Route 53. As such, when you purchase a domain, it will tell you something, a name server. Typically, they will give you 4 name servers. As such, that these are the name servers that will hold the information of your domain. So what you want to do in Route 53, you want to create something called a record set. As such, with the record set, as you can see here, there are certain NS-235 awsdns.29.com. So these are the typical name servers that you get, whether you purchase the domain from Route 53 or you can purchase the domain anywhere else. So what you will do, as such that let's say you register a domain name called abc.com. So now you have to run a server as such that you want to have a friendly name called server.abc.com. And what you want to do, basically you create a record set, and point it to a particular IP address. So how do you route those records then in terms of when I type the domain? How do I know what is the best way to route? So the simplest way would be to do simple round robin. So typically for DNS servers, they are located all over the world. Um, in Route 53, we have like 100 over locations that is spread around the world, as such that you can say simple round robin, as such you will just go around and see which DNS service will respond to the queries. There's weighted round robin, there's based on certain latency based routing, as such that you want to have the fastest server to respond to the queries. You can do geolocation, as such that a user in the US will access the DNS in the US. A user in Australia will hit the server in Australia. So these are the routing options when you go to the console. So you have the IP address, you have the value, which is like 399.92.174.31 here. You can choose the routing policy, how you want to route. So as an example here, I have a weighted routing options here, 1 and 3. What it does basically, I'm telling my service to respond 25% of the queries will go to a particular servers in certain region and another 75% to another region itself. Or you can even configure latency-based routing. As such, you want to have the server that's closest to the customer and to use the service closest to them. So as such, on a high level, this is basically how DNS and AWS Route 53 works. And hereby is a short introduction of DNS. Thank you very much. Next, I will have Furin, who will run through a quick demo on Route 53. Hereby, I'll pass it to Furin.
Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Furin Ongko. I'm an AWS Educate Technical Program Manager. Today,
Hello
I will
everyone,
show
let
you a
me
live
introduce
demo
myself.
about configuring DNS using Amazon Route 53. I used to have questions from my student how to connect domain name to Amazon EC2 server. So, let's get started. There are two parts. First is the preparation. We will have two servers in our account. The second part is how to connect our domain name to Amazon Route 53. First of all, let's log in to awseducate.com. Okay, this is the AWS Educate portal. We can click Join AWS Educate. From here, we can register based on our role. For example, if you are student or educators, institution or company or recruiter. If you are a student, please click on the student tab. And then you can fill all the required form. School or institution name, country, first name, last name, email. For this email part, please use the official email from your school or from your university. Graduation year, graduation month, birth year, promo code if you have it, and then click I'm not a robot, then click next. After this process, the system will send you a verification email. So please check your email and then verify your email. Okay, this one is similar with the for the education. For the educator, we just click the educator, lecturer or trainer. Uh, Same process. We have to fill the school or institution, country, city, first name, last name, department, email. Same with the student part. Email, you should use the official email from your university or from your school. The title, course level, the one that you deliver. For example, for undergraduate or for the high school or for the middle school. So we need to choose this. course number and name. For example, you deliver a cloud computing course, then you just type the cloud computing course, and link or school biography. This should be yeah, you should enter the school website or URL, or if you have a specific course, then you put the specific course URL there. This is the specialty, for example, IT or cloud computing or networking. And the last one is the promo code. If you have it, put it there as optional. Then click this tick box, I'm not a robot. Then click next. Okay. Same with the student part. After this process, the system will send you an email for to verify that you have a valid email. Okay, this is awseducate.com. We sign to AWS Educate. Then, as usual, we can access our account using the AWS account here on the right, top right. Okay, click AWS account, AWS Educate Starter account, and then we click AWS console. Okay, from the AWS console, we can click the EC2 to configure our server or our instance. Okay, then we can click instance. We can click instance, and we can see here we have two servers, server 1 and also server 2. Usually when we access the server 1, we can use the public DNS name, or we also can use public IP version 4. Okay, we click here, and then we can try use this IP. Okay, you can see that this is the server 1. For the server 2, we try to use the public DNS. Okay, this is the public DNS, and then we can paste it here. It will show that this is the server 2, or we can also use the IP public for the server 2. Okay, so basically currently we have the our two server, the server 1 and also the server 2, with using their own IP or internal Amazon DNS name. Okay, then we will connect this using our domain using Route 53. So from the service, you just type Route 53, this one. Okay, domain should be purchased first from domain seller, but actually you also can purchase domain within the Route 53. But for the starter account, you cannot purchase it because it's very limited. For this sample, I will use domain that already purchased in one of the domain seller. Okay, this is the domain I have. Okay, this is the domain I have this furinongko.com. Okay, and we can see that this name server, this is the default name server, ns6 idwebhost.com and ns7.idwebhost.com. So this part that we need to update using the Route 53. Okay, we can go back to our console. Okay, we can go back to our console here. Okay, we have this. Okay, this is the Route 53. From this Route 53, you can create a new zone. Okay, we click the host zones. Okay, we can click here, create a host zone. And then since we have the domain furinongko.com, so you just type the furinongko.com and type will be a public hosted zone, and then you click create. They will create one zone or one host zone for you. Okay, you can see here the NS, and they give you a few NS. There will be a 4 NS here. Maybe we can copy it first. Okay, we can type it here. Okay, this is the name server that coming from the Route 53. This name server should be added to the control panel. So this one we added here. Okay, then we paste another one. Okay, we paste another one, and then we paste the third one. And we paste the fourth one. Okay, so we have this 4NS for name server 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we click here. It say that change the name server to AWS name server. So if we update the name server, something like this one, so it means that the name server will change to the name server that controlled by the Route 53. Okay, but it will take a while. It can take about 10 minutes, 1 hour until to 1 day. So sometimes it take a very long time. Okay, now after we update the name server in domain seller for this foreign Ongko, now we can control the name server using the Route 53. Okay, for example, if we want to create a new record set for a new host, we can click here, create a record set. For example, if you want to try this server one, okay, then we can add the value or the IP for the server one. Okay, let me check for the IP for the server one. Okay, you can see here the server one. Okay, this is the server one. Previously, the IP for server one is 35 something. Okay, we can copy this in here. Okay, and then we can create. Okay, and then we can also try the second server, the server 2. We can copy again. Sorry, we can copy, and then we put it here for the second server. Record set. For example, this one is server 2. This is the IP. Just paste it. Okay, it means that we already create the server1.foreignonco.com, and we also have server2.foreignonco.com. Okay, let's try. Okay, you see that it still failed. It doesn't mean it's not working. It's mean that maybe you need to wait sometimes to make it work. Okay, we can try it again. Server1.foreignonco.com. Okay, you can see that when we access using a domain name foreign server1.foreignonco.com, then it will become the server one. And it's also the same if we put the server2.foreignonco.com, then they will be redirect to the server 2. That it means that it's already well configured in the Route 53, um, server 1 to the server 1 and server 2 to the server 2. So if we have same configuration, for example, if we have this Route 53, previously we have the server 1 and server 2, and then we have the same record that point to the same IP, we can create the same with this a record, or we can also use the CNAME record or canonical name record. For example, if we want to put www foreignonco.com to the server1.foreignonco.com. Okay, so if we create this kind of record, it means that if we try to access the www.foreignonco.com, it will redirect to server1.foreignonco.com. Okay, it's still created. Okay, you can see here that www.furinonco.com is a CNAME for the server1.furinonco.com. So it means that if we try to use this www.furinonco.com, okay, it will be redirected to this server.com. So if we try to create or we change the IP, so for example, if we change the IP of the server one, and then the www will also changing. Okay. Other service that related with domain name is CloudFront. Is one of the AWS caching service suitable if we don't have region near our customer. If it happen, we can use Amazon CloudFront. Just type CloudFront in the service. Okay, here CloudFront. Okay, just click it, CloudFront. And then we can create a cache for our web server. In this case, we will use the server 2. Okay, we just create a distribution. Okay, get started. Okay, for example, we use this server2.foreignonco.com. Okay, this is the origin path. We don't do anything here. Okay, something like this, and we just create a distribution. Okay, it takes about 10 minutes, so it takes a bit long. So this I already prepare another example. I create the cache or the CloudFront distribution for the server1.foreignonco.com, and you can see after it's done, you see this the server 2 is currently in progress, and the server 1 is already deployed. So the server 1 have the cloud distribution for this domain. Okay, so if we try to use this domain within the server, so it will access to the same server. Okay, it will access the server 1. It means that the content of the server 1 is being cached through the CloudFront service. Okay, it will happen, or it will the same, it have the same impact with the server 2, but it still need a lot of time here to deploy and to distribute. Okay, it's only a simple demo. I hope you can enjoy my session. We will see you again in another session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Furin, for your presentation. We're now open to question and answer. Thank you, everyone, for raising lots of really good questions to us. We will take turns to answer questions that are related to AWS Educate, as well as technical questions within AWS. So I'll take a first stance to answer some of the common questions. Lots of students ask about certification. So as we announced in the beginning of this session, that you will be receiving a certificate of completing this particular webinar session after you've completed this webinar session. So please do look out in your email box. The certificate will probably come to your email in a day's time. So do follow up with us if you don't receive the certificate. Some other students ask about AWS Educate Access, the micro credentials, digital badge, how to use them, so on and so forth. Let me quickly share my screen. I'll give you a demo of what the micro credentials definition is. Okay, so for example, if you log into AWS Educate, you will see this is the home page. There are lots of career pathways that you can select from. Currently, there are 12 learning pathways or career pathways, and they are named right after the most demanded jobs that are currently available online. So, for example, for data scientist major students, They are able to look at data scientist or data integration specialist. For others, you can look at solution architect. If you want to know more about these career pathways, you can click on this. There is a description, short description of what's the definition of a cloud support associate. What are the skills that you need to learn to succeed in this role? And how long does this career pathway take? And how do you prepare for the future? There's also a short video to do a demo of what cloud support associate is. So for every of this 12 career pathway, there is an introduction. There are also 11 badges that starts with cloud literacy all the way to American Heart Association, which is more usable in the US territory. So similar idea, if you finish any of the badges or any of the career pathways, your credential will be recorded on the portfolio page. For example, this is my portfolio page. Here you can see the career pathways and badges I have started and finished. And here you can see these two badges are what I have earned as digital credential. And so that's what we call micro-credential, and you can download your portfolio package here. So once you download, you can use that as your digital resume when you look for jobs. Once you click the job tab, you can see all the jobs that are available in the cloud ecosystem that use AWS. So that means AWS posts jobs here, as well as all the companies who use AWS. For instance, I want to know what jobs are available in India. Do a simple search. Now you have all the jobs currently available in India. So you can use your micro credentials, the badges that you earned, build them in your resume, and start applying for jobs. I wanted to show you next is AWS professional industry level certification, which is very different from the digital badges. Okay, the certification are at 3 levels: professional level, associate level, foundational level. These certifications are AWS certifications, which require you to complete exam either online or in person. You will have to pass those exams in order to earn those certifications. And these certifications could be renewed every 2 to 3 years. And you can see from this page of AWS certification of the times that are usually recommended for you to go through before you challenge any of the certification. So there are several things in this webinar that we had explained, right? Number one is you will receive a completion certificate for completing this particular webinar after you finish this webinar. Second is educate credential. Those are micro credentials. They're very different from professional level certification. The third one is AWS certification does provide different levels of certification, but those need yourself to register and succeed and to pass the exams. So please do not confuse these concepts, and I hope this explanation is helpful. So I'll pass it on to Steve to answer some more other technical questions.
Okay, thank you, Shang. So one of the common questions will be, can we purchase domain names using Route 53? Yes, it can. It can be purchased and managed using Route 53. However, from what I understand, it is not doable within the AWS Educate or Starter account. And I have another question is that are IP addresses generated for each web page or to the server alone? Uh, the answer is basically the IP address is assigned to the server and assigned to the domain name. So every page resides in that domain will not have its own IP address. Will use this common IP address. Also, if how about there are two domain names which is the same. For example, one is abcd.edu and abcd.net. Are these two the same? No, these are actually two different domain names because the top level domain, one is edu and the other one is .net. So basically they are referring to two different domains. So with that, I'll pass it over back to Shang.
Okay, okay, I get question from my end. So there's a question: is there any cost for hosting zones within the Route 53? Yes, there is a cost for it. It's about 50 cent USD per zone per domain, or per zone or per domain for the first 25 zones, and another 10 cents for additional zones. But for more detail about pricing, you can go to the AWS website and check for the Route 53 pricing. Okay, another question that can we using CloudFront within the AWS Educate Starter account? Yes. Just now when I do the live demo, I using the Educate Starter account. So it's doable. We can use the AWS Starter account to do the CloudFront. And the last one, do we need to remove domain if we not use it? Yes, because like I mentioned earlier that every host that uh, put on the or added into the Route 53, it will be charged monthly for about 50 cents and for the first 25 hosts. So if we no longer use it or we're not going to host it in our account, so it's better to remove it from our service. Okay, I give it back to Sheng. Please, Sheng.
Thank you, Furin. There are several other questions about credits and whether we provide scholarship. So for the AWS Educate account, you can any student and educator can sign up for no cost AWS Educate account, and as soon as you sign up, there will be $75 annually renewable provided to you. So these $75 with starter account, you could use those credits to build instances or prototypes or projects within AWS console. For example, if you sign up today, April 7th, 2021, your account will be automatically renewed for as long as you are enrolled in that university. Does AWS provide scholarships? AWS Educate is not a corporate responsibility, social responsibility program. So we're not a CSR program. We do not provide scholarship to students. Neither are we an institution. So we do not have the same function as institutions do, which is providing scholarships. So we do provide AWS credits, as I explained, and we're hoping by providing these free credits, you are able to use AWS console to build things that you are interested in, or maybe you wanted to test it for your future career if you want to have a startup. So those are the functions of AWS Educate credits. I'll hand it over to Steve to answer more technical questions.
So I have another question is basically is what's the difference between Route 53 and CloudFront? So Route 53 basically is a domain name service. What it does, it translates a domain name into an IP address. CloudFront is a content delivery network. What it does basically, it caches content that will be closer to the user. So for example, everybody knows Netflix. So the first time someone requests for a video, let's say in the US, it will redirect them to the closest server in the US and fetch the video. And what it does, you want to use CloudFront to cache that video that is closest to the user. As such, when the next user requests from the same video, it doesn't have to go back to the server to get it. It can actually watch the video through the cache that is stored in CloudFront. So basically, these are the key two differences between the two services. Is there a possibility that there is a collision of domain names? Each domain name is purchased and registered to an owner. Only the owner can update the records and point it to a particular DNS service. As such, if you do not own the domain name and you want to use it, you are not able to change the records inside those domain name service. Unlikely, or it will not be possible to have a collision of domain names. So with that, probably I'll pass it back to Furin if there's any more questions.
Yeah, yeah, I still got two more questions. So the question is where to explore more about this. So for the basic one, you can explore within the Cloud Computing 101. Within the AWS Educate, we have the career pathway. It explains about the basic of cloud computing. But if you already know more about cloud computing, then you can start exploring the career pathway for the solution architect. And another question, what should we do if we already configure all these things, but it's not working? Yeah, DNS need time to propagate and need time to adjust. It probably about 10 minutes until 1 hour. So if you already configure, but it's not working right now, yeah, maybe better you need to wait maybe about 10 minutes until 1 hour. Usually the default one is about one day, sorry, not 1 hour. So it's about 1 day. So you can try to the next day and you can check whether it's already worked or not. Okay, I'm giving back to Sheng.
Thank you, Furin. I see there are repeated questions about AWS Educate and the credits, so on and so forth. So again, the $75 of credit are immediately put into your account as soon as you sign up for AWS Educate, and it is annually renewable. A lot of students are asking to access the morning session. If you have signed up for the session, you will be receiving an email by now with the option of going back to see the recording of the sessions. So for all the webinar sessions we provided during this COVID-19 times are recorded. And if you have signed up as participant, you'll be able to see those recordings. Okay. So if no more questions, in the interest of time, we will be closing the Q&A session. Our staff, AWS team, will still be hanging around for a little longer. If you have more questions, we might be addressing them one by one or addressing them to the entire audience. On the slide on the screen, you should be able to see where to find additional resources. For the questions that we're unable to address today, please raise your questions if it's AWS Educate related to the AWS Educate support link. You can also get involved with AWS user groups. That is, user groups are usually composed of people who are very enthusiastic about cloud technology and about understanding and using more of AWS. So you should be able to find your answers there. There are also AWS blogs, official YouTube channels. Several people ask about official solution architect YouTube channel. You can find lots of those information online. AWS documentation as well. So please take note of all the additional resources that we're providing right now on the screen. And by the end of the session, once you exit, you should be able to see a series of questions that is asking what are the interested topics that you'd like us to cover in the next coming up webinar sessions. So I just want to remind you again, once you click exit, please make sure that you have answered the survey questions that we had prepared for you, because we want to know what are the topics that are most relevant to you, and we will choose the highest demand topics to offer in the next several weeks. Okay, so with that, I'm going to close the Q&A, and thank you again for spending the past hour with us during this AWS Workshop from Home webinar session. We'll see you again soon.